When Vanessa and I went in for our physical exams, the results came back: she had stomach cancer. I went straight home to my parents, determined to sell the house and raise money for her treatment. But my mother, Margaret, looked me in the eye and said, "I'll agree to sell the house, but on one condition. You tell her it's you who has stomach cancer." I couldn't understand why she would say that. Still, for Vanessa's sake, I agreed. That night, Vanessa's mother, Evelyn, showed up at our door. She urged me to divorce Vanessa, to stop dragging her daughter down. Vanessa echoed her, telling me that if I truly loved someone, I wouldn't waste the rest of her life. I stared at her, stunned that she could even say this. From the beginning, I had understood what Margaret was doing. She was testing our marriage, trying to see if Vanessa was worth sacrificing our home for. I had always believed our love was unshakable, strong enough to survive anything. Now I knew the old saying was right: when disaster strikes, even the closest of couples fly their separate ways. Vanessa, seeing my silence, spoke with quiet sincerity. "You have no idea how hard cancer treatment really is. You can search YouTube for families who fought it. Most of them lose all their money, and the person still dies." Evelyn jumped in eagerly. "Exactly. In the end, you'll force us to sell the house, sell the car, borrow from everyone we know, and still not save you. Then what happens to my daughter after you're gone?" I had always treated Evelyn with respect, but this time I didn't even acknowledge her. I kept my eyes on Vanessa and asked, "Is that truly what you think?" She said, "I hope you won't be selfish, that you'll think about me, too." I asked, "Do you think wanting to live is selfish?" She sighed. "I just know that if it were me with cancer, I wouldn't drag you down. I'd divorce you and face it alone." I said nothing more. My silence was heavier than any answer I could give. Evelyn dabbed at her tears and said to me, "I know you're hurting, but what has my daughter done wrong? She's still so young. How is she supposed to live out the rest of her life?" For a moment, I wondered if she was right. I was still young too. If I drained all my family's savings trying to save Vanessa, only to fail in the end, what would become of the rest of my life? Just then, Vanessa suddenly handed me divorce papers. A chill ran through me. I'd only told her the news a short while ago, and she had already prepared the agreement. I picked it up and scanned the terms. My mind went blank in disbelief. It was outright robbery. Not only would she take half of our cash after the divorce, but the house would go entirely to her. The only thing I'd be left with was my car. And I suspected that if she knew how to drive, even that wouldn't be mine. Vanessa said, "If you think everything looks fine, sign it. Then we can head to the county clerk's office and file for divorce." I asked, "Do you really think this contract is fair? I bought that house. Why should it go to you after a divorce?" Evelyn jumped in quickly. "Do you remember what I told you before you married Vanessa? I said you had to have a house before the wedding." "I remember," I said. "But now we're talking about a divorce." Evelyn pressed on, "That house is her safety net. That was the whole point, so if something happened after you got married, she'd have security. And now you really are sick, so taking that security is only reasonable, isn't it?" I drew in a sharp breath. I had never realized that the security they'd spoken of before the wedding had meant this all along. If I cheated, she'd take the security. If I died, she'd still take the security. Whenever there was risk, she got all the benefit. What was left for me? My anger surged. "No way. I'm not giving you the house. I'm just sick, I'm not at fault here. Why should I give it to you?" Vanessa's eyes softened, her voice heavy with sadness. "You won't even give me one last gift?" In the past, that pitiful look of hers would have stirred my heart. But this time, all I felt was disgust. A gift? To strip someone of their home while they're sick, and have the shamelessness to call it a gift? Seeing how firm I was, Evelyn's tone eased. "Listen to me. Giving my daughter the house isn't just for us. If something happens to you, won't someone need to help take care of your parents? Vanessa jumped in immediately. Yes, I can help take care of Margaret and Robert in the future. I stared at her coldly. At this point, nothing she said could make me believe her. Before we got married, she'd made it clear she didn't want to live with my parents. That's why we bought this separate house in the first place. And now she claimed she'd look after them? Not a chance. I let out a sharp, humorless laugh. Margaret and Robert don't need your care. Vanessa nodded slightly. Fine. Then we'll settle it in court. I sucked in a breath, disbelief knotting in my chest. You know I have stomach cancer, and you still want to take me to court? Evelyn's patience snapped. We've tried to be nice, but you're not getting it. You're already sick. If we drag you through court for a few years, it'll kill you. Do you really think you can hold on to this property? She grew more heated, jabbing her finger toward my face. And when you're dead, it'll be Margaret and Robert fighting us in court. You think we'd be afraid of them? Rage roared inside me, burning hotter with every word. This entire family was rotten to the core. And to think, I'd actually considered selling the house to raise money for her treatment. Mom, don't argue with him, Vanessa said. Let me speak to him from the heart. She took my hand, her face wearing the same sincere expression I'd once loved. But now, no matter how I looked at her, all I saw was something that made my stomach turn. With an earnest tone, she said, let's try a little role reversal, okay? If I were the one who was sick, I'd leave most of my assets to you, because I'd want you to take care of my parents after I'm gone. Evelyn jumped in right away. Exactly. Look at my daughter's sense of responsibility, then look at yours. Don't you feel ashamed? What on earth do you think about all day? I think about a husband and wife facing hardships together, I replied. Vanessa shook her head. That's such a childish way to see it. How is that childish? I asked. She said, on the surface, facing hardships together sounds fine. But in reality, it means dragging me into your hardship, one that's yours alone. If I stay with you, I'll pour my youth and my savings into you, only to end up old, used up, and penniless. Then you'll drift out of this world, leaving me with nothing. Is that what you want? Her words were like blades sinking into my chest, one after another. When I thought of her being sick, I was ready to give up everything to save her. But now I realized, if the situation were reversed, the first thing on her mind would be whether I'd become a burden. I let out a long breath and said, heavy with sorrow, how could a marriage ever be a burden? We made vows, through poverty and sickness, that nothing would separate us. Vanessa shook her head. You're the one oversimplifying things. Let me tell you exactly how terrifying it gets if we don't divorce. I didn't see how it could be terrifying, but her face was deadly serious. At first, I'll be right there beside you through treatment. But as time drags on, the savings dwindle, then disappear. We sink into debt, end up selling the house and the car. Do you really think life will still be good? I said nothing, and the picture she painted began to spool out in my mind. She went on, eventually you'll be too weak to walk. I'll have to carry you to the hospital. Without a car, in wind and rain, I'll haul you onto the bus. Maybe I'll be the one cleaning up after you, wiping you down when you can't make it to the bathroom. Day after day, that's our life. You wouldn't feel guilty? I mean, treatment still offers a chance, I said, grasping for anything. If we can get through this stretch, things might get better. Vanessa cut me off. And why should I stake the rest of my life on a probability? One simple sentence, and my heart went cold. If the gamble pays off, fine, she said. But if it doesn't? Then I've wagered my entire life and lost. You keep saying we'll face it together, but isn't that just selfish? From beginning to end, all you're really asking is that I be the one to pay the price. Her voice broke, and to my shock, she started to cry. I'm a person, too. Before you think about how badly you want to live, why don't you think about me? I'm just a person. I want an ordinary, happy life. Evelyn hurried to pass her tissues, dabbing at her tears. Evelyn patted Vanessa's shoulder, soothing her. He just doesn't know what's good for him. From start to finish, all he's thought about is himself, never once about your feelings. Vanessa's sobs deepened until she broke into outright wailing. Why should I gamble decades of my life on your odds? If you love me, does that mean you have to drag me down with you? I watched her cry, her words echoing in my mind. She was right, why should I gamble decades of my life on her odds? It hit me then how foolish I'd been. And, for the first time, I understood Margaret's harsh wisdom. Vanessa said, right now you've already fallen into the abyss. If I could pull you out, I would. But I'm too weak. You're gripping my hand so tightly that you'll end up dragging both of us into that pit. I gave a bitter smile. You're right. If we've truly loved each other, then we should think about what's best for the other. There's no need to drag someone down with you. The moment I showed the slightest crack, Vanessa and Evelyn exchanged a quick glance, their eyes lighting up. That's right, Vanessa said eagerly. I'm glad you understand. Asking for a divorce today isn't because I'm cold-hearted, it's because we've loved each other, and we can't let it come to that. Just then, my phone buzzed. A text from Margaret. It read, I've already asked around. Our old house could still sell for about $600,000. That should cover treatment for a few years. Evelyn's eyes flicked to my phone screen, and her face drained of color. You've already been in touch with your mother about selling the old house, haven't you? Vanessa drew in a sharp breath. You'd arranged to sell the old house without even talking to me? You're unbelievable. And if I hadn't brought up divorce today, would you have sold this house too? Evelyn's voice shot up, sharp with indignation. He's never thought of you as family. He just wants to sell that old house, bring his parents here, and then you'll be stuck taking care of two old folks on top of him. Vanessa bit her lip. I never thought you were that kind of person. How can you let your parents move in without my consent? Hold on, I said. Do you hear yourself? Just earlier, you said that if I left the house to you, you'd help take care of my parents. And now you're saying you don't want to live with them. Which is it? Vanessa's eyes flashed. That was for years later, after I've built my career. If they move in now, won't that derail everything for me? Evelyn jumped back in. You are not selling that old house, absolutely not. If you sell it, how will my daughter live in the new one? Your parents will just use the excuse that they have nowhere to go and latch onto her. A bitter smile tugged at my mouth. I never imagined my parents' property would need your approval to sell. Evelyn's tone hardened, self-righteous. You're not only dragging Vanessa down, you're dragging your parents down too. You have no sense of responsibility. Let me be clear, that old house stays. If you so much as put up a for sale sign, I'll make a scene every day until no one dares to buy it. At last, I saw the whole picture. If I was the one who got sick, they wouldn't just take my house and half my savings, they'd also block my parents from selling theirs, all because they were afraid my parents might end up with nowhere to live, and come here to share a roof with her. Vanessa looked at me with open disappointment. Why have you become like this? I would take care of your parents, just not now. I'm in the prime of my life. If you drag me down now, how will I ever be in a position to help your family later? I gave a bitter smile. So what you mean is, I can burn through my half of the savings on my illness, but I can't let my parents sell their house to save me. Her face tightened. Don't twist my words to sound so ugly. I just want you to think about me and your parents, not only yourself. I did feel guilty at first, but now I see that divorcing you is the right decision. You really are selfish. By then, I felt like the biggest fool alive. If Margaret hadn't told me to lie, I probably would have poured everything I owned into this woman. I sighed. Fine. If you want a divorce, then we'll get a divorce. Vanessa and Evelyn exchanged a glance, clearly surprised I'd agreed so easily. Vanessa said quickly, "Good. And don't hate me for it. If I were the one who was sick, I'd make the same choice." I asked, "Every word you've said, was it the truth?" "Of course it was," she said without hesitation. I let out a cold little laugh. "All right. Then I'll sign." Evelyn's excitement flared instantly. She clapped my shoulder. "I knew I was right about you from the start. You're a man of responsibility and integrity." Vanessa hurried off to fetch a pen, then returned with a soft, almost tender smile. "This is for the best. We loved each other so fiercely once, let's not let the ending turn ugly." I gave her a thin smile, then crossed out her name under Partia and signed my own instead. Her smile froze. "What does that mean?" I looked at her, remembering every moment of our years together. And the truth was, I was about to give her one last chance. I looked at her and spoke with complete sincerity. "You keep saying you're afraid of being dragged down, so now I'm returning everything that belongs to you. Legally, it's all yours. And since I earn more than you, you're still coming out ahead." Then I took Vanessa's hand gently. "You know I'm sick. I want to live. If I keep these assets, I can sell them later. You won't be dragged down anymore. If you've ever loved me, at least don't take away my chance to fight for my life. Please." This was the last chance I would give her. If she agreed, it would mean she'd meant every word she said earlier, and I'd misjudged her. If she was truly a good person, I'd do everything in my power to save her. But she didn't take it. She yanked her hand away and shouted, "We agreed before marriage that you'd give me a house as security. Now I'm about to be a widow, so why should I give up what's mine?" Watching her, wild-eyed and shrill, I felt my last bit of hope die. The mask was off. Every word she'd spoken before now felt like a bad joke. Evelyn snatched the divorce agreement from the table and tore it to pieces. Her teeth clenched as she spat out, "Fine, we'll see you in court. Let's see how long a sick man like you can last." She flung the shreds in my face. "When we talk nicely, you don't listen. Now we'll play it hard, and you'll learn what regret means. From today, I'll be at your family's old house every day. If you try to sell it, I'll make sure no one dares to buy." I stared coldly at the two of them, both fuming. Vanessa calmly pulled out her phone and made a call. "Lawyer? We couldn't reach an agreement. Let's proceed with the lawsuit." So that was it. She hadn't just prepared the divorce agreement, she'd already hired a professional divorce attorney. No wonder she'd been moving so fast. I gave a bitter laugh. "So everything you said earlier was a lie." "The sad part is, I was still thinking that if you were the one in this situation, I'd do everything I could to save you." Evelyn's tone turned cutting and cruel. "Oh, I almost wish my daughter were the one going through this. But too bad, she'll live a long, healthy life. You're the one with cancer, and you're the one who's going to die." I shook my head. "Fine. Let's just file for divorce." Evelyn bristled. "The property division isn't settled. Why would we divorce now?" Vanessa quickly tugged on her sleeve. "Mom, it's fine, we can keep the property case going." She leaned in, whispering something in Evelyn's ear. Evelyn's expression shifted in an instant, and she nodded. "All right, then go file for divorce with him." I watched that secretive smile play across Vanessa's face, and I already knew exactly what she was thinking, because I was thinking the same thing. She said with a faint smile, "Remember that day in the campus cafeteria, when you saw a girl eating nothing but porridge, and you told her it had no nutrition, then ordered her a full meal?" The meaning hit me immediately. In the US, if one spouse falls gravely ill before the divorce is finalized, the medical bills can be treated as marital debt. Even if I'd already moved out, a court could still order me to share the cost. And if the illness meant long-term care, the judge might even require me to pay spousal support until she could work again. This wasn't just about money, it was about years of being tied to her in a legal quagmire. We both knew, once the divorce was legally filed, that cut-off date would sever those risks. Whoever submitted first would lock it in. That's why she'd been so distant. Every moment had gone into gathering evidence of my assets and working with her attorney. She hadn't just been preparing a divorce agreement, she'd been lining up her shot. Evelyn kept showing up at my parents' old house, terrified we might sell it. The whole thing felt pathetic to me. She was so consumed with building her divorce case against me that she didn't even have time to pick up her own medical report from the hospital. And I hadn't been idle either. I made sure to consult lawyers, letting word get back to Vanessa so she'd know I was ready to fight. It only made her more frantic, so focused on chasing paperwork and meetings that she still never once went to collect her test results. After 6 long months, the mandatory cooling-off period was finally over. We were officially divorced. Vanessa slipped the divorce certificate into her bag and sneered. "Now we'll just see if I can drag you to death in court." I sighed and handed her an envelope. "For what it's worth, we were married once. I have a gift for you." She froze. "What is it?" "Remember when we had those physicals together? You've been too busy to pick up your report, so I asked the hospital for it on your behalf." Her smile twisted into a mocking laugh. "Oh, now you care? Is this your way of softening me up so I'll go easy on you?" "Forget it, it's not happening." Evelyn was quick to back her up. "Don't trust him. He's selfish to the core. Don't get soft over a little fake concern. The lawyer told us, don't be scared, don't back down." I just gave a faint, tired smile. "You'd better take a look first." She snatched the report from my hand and began to read. Halfway down the page, something in her expression shifted. Her brows drew tight, her voice sharp. "What's that supposed to mean? You can't even read your own medical report?" I asked. She snapped back, "We're divorced now, don't you dare take that patronizing tone with me. It makes me sick. Just spit it out." Evelyn chimed in, her voice full of contempt. "Yeah, you're a dying man, stop with the cryptic crap. Say what you have to say, we're not here to listen to you ramble." I sighed. "A month ago, you were diagnosed with stomach cancer. I rushed home to convince my parents to sell their old house and raise the money for your treatment. But Margaret told me to lie first, say I was the one who was sick, and see how you reacted." The two of them froze, stunned into silence. Vanessa snatched up the report again, her eyes darting over the lines as if they'd somehow change. "No, that's impossible. You're lying. You're just trying to disgust me." I shrugged. "If you don't believe me, go get a second opinion at another hospital. But I'd say it's not worth the expense, your funds aren't exactly overflowing. Better to save what you have and spend it where it counts." Vanessa just stood there, clutching the report, all the fight gone from her face, utterly lost. Evelyn snatched the report from her daughter's hands, scanning it back and forth. Her whole body began to tremble before she burst out, "How can the sick one be my daughter?" I met her shock with a cold, flat voice. "Consider this report my last gesture of courtesy. You ignored it for so long that you missed the critical early window. Honestly, you were foolish. If you hadn't been blinded by money, spending every waking moment on lawyers and lawsuits, if you'd shown even a little concern for your own health, you wouldn't have wasted so much time." I turned to leave, but Evelyn collapsed into loud, ragged sobs. Vanessa lunged forward, grabbing my arm. Her voice shook. "Wait, you can't go. I'm not divorcing you." She clutched the divorce decree and rushed to the clerk's desk. We're not getting divorced, help us withdraw it. The clerk gave her a helpless look. That's impossible. What were you doing during the 6-month cooling-off period? We can't get divorced, I've changed my mind. Just help us remarry right now, she pleaded. I shook her hand off. My voice was calm, almost detached. Even if you wanted to remarry, I wouldn't agree. And besides, divorce was your idea. Now you want to undo it? You think marriage is just something you can turn on and off like a light? Tears spilled down her cheeks as she clung to my hand. How could you do this to me? You knew I was sick, why would you still divorce me? I stared at her, astonished. Do you even hear yourself? You were the one who said that if someone gets sick, they should divorce so they don't drag the other down. That's not the same thing, she sobbed. I rolled my eyes. I truly couldn't see how it was any different. I turned to leave again, but she clung to my arm once more, desperation flooding her voice. You can't go. Marry me now. We loved each other so fiercely, how can you abandon me at the hardest moment of my life? Evelyn jumped in, just as impassioned. She loved you so much before. And who says cancer can't be cured? There's always a chance. I let out a short, cold laugh. Why should I gamble the rest of my life on your odds? Vanessa's face twisted in frustration. If you walk out today, we will take you to court. We'll fight you to the very end. I shrugged, utterly unmoved. Go ahead. Sue me. Let's see how many years you can drag it out. By the time you're dead from this, I'll still be around to keep battling Evelyn in court. Please, don't go. Her composure shattered. She dropped to her knees, clutching my hand, her voice trembling. I was wrong before. I didn't understand. Please, for the sake of what we once had, don't leave me when I need you most. I looked down at her tear-streaked face, and all I felt was that same creeping disgust. When I first found out you were sick, I was already working on ways to save you, I said evenly. You and your mother were the ones who insisted that a sick spouse shouldn't burden the other. You both even stormed over to my parents' house, refusing to let me sell the old place. Wasn't that exactly the outcome you wanted? Vanessa's tears fell harder. It's different now. Back then, it wasn't the same. I met her gaze, my voice calm but firm. Then keep your promise. You told me more than once that if you were the one who got sick, you would never drag me down. Don't be selfish now. Think about me for once. Evelyn lunged into my path, jabbing a finger at me as she shouted, her voice ringing with outrage. You heartless bastard. Vanessa has cancer, and you're leaving her? How can someone be so vile? She was loud, deliberately so, trying to draw attention. But the truth was, we'd been arguing long enough for everyone nearby to have already pieced together what happened. The stares aimed at them carried no sympathy, only a thin edge of ridicule. Move, I said coldly. And stop slandering me. Her fury flared, she raised her hand like she meant to slap me. Go ahead, I told her, my tone like ice. Your family needs money now. If you hit me, I'll drop right here, and we'll see if you have a cent left after you pay damages. She froze, eyes locked on mine, then slowly lowered her hand. Her voice softened to a pleading tone. It was our fault before. Do you want me to kneel here and kowtow before you'll remarry my daughter? I blinked, pretending to consider it. Maybe I could think about that. Before the words had even faded, she dropped to her knees, knocking her forehead to the ground over and over. It was all our fault. We didn't know any better. Please, I'm begging you, save Vanessa. We have no money. She'll die. Watching her kneel and kowtow to me, I couldn't help the flicker of amusement that crossed my mind. When she finally stopped, Evelyn's face was full of expectation. Now will you remarry her? I looked her dead in the eye and said, with complete seriousness, "I've thought it over. No, I won't." Her face twisted instantly, rage replacing desperation. "You dare play me like this?" I shrugged. "I told you from the start I'd consider it." "I did, and I decided no." "Is that a problem?" "If you're not happy, go ahead, hit me." Evelyn's face went a shade darker, but in this situation she didn't dare touch me. Vanessa broke down completely, sobbing. "Do you have to treat my whole family like this? You know I'm dying, yet you humiliate me and Evelyn like this." "I only humiliate you," I said coldly. "When you thought I was dying, you wanted to destroy me." "I didn't. I just thought one of us should at least survive," she cried. I nodded. "I agree. That's why I plan to survive now." "Congratulations, you convinced me. Funny how I used to be stupid enough to want to save you." Evelyn exploded. "You knew Vanessa had cancer and didn't tell her? That's illegal." "Go ahead, take it to court," I said. "She didn't collect her own test results, how is that my problem?" With that, I turned and walked away, leaving the two of them standing there, stunned. But it didn't end there. I'd underestimated how shameless they could be. Once they knew I wouldn't remarry, they went full scorched earth. They started hanging around outside my house, crying to the neighbors. Then they escalated, showing up at my workplace with a banner, accusing me of abandoning my cancer-stricken wife, determined to ruin me completely. My manager called me in for a talk, and once they knew the full story, they were sympathetic. The boss even pulled me aside personally, offering to transfer me to one of our branch offices out of town. He suggested I sell the house as well, just to cut all ties with them. He was right, those two had already gone off the rails. If they ever reached the point of realizing they couldn't be cured and decided to take me down with them, I'd be the one paying the price. The company stood by me. They arranged the transfer, and to the outside world, they announced I'd been fired. I took my parents and vanished, refusing to let anyone know our new address. Both the marital home and my parents' old house went up for sale. With people like that, the smartest move is to put as much distance as possible between you and them. There's no sense in getting tangled up with the unhinged. But Vanessa wasn't about to give up her lawsuit. Appeals like this move at a crawl, but eventually the court date came, and I saw her again. She was gaunt, her frame shrunken, and she sat in the plaintiff's seat crying to the judge. "He abandoned me when I needed him most. All I want is for the court to give me justice, either declare our divorce invalid or award me the house. I'm just a poor woman trying to survive." She cried hard, but I'd been ready for this. I handed over evidence to the court, surveillance footage from my home, and played it for everyone to see. The judge watched the footage, frowning as she turned to Vanessa. "You were the one who initiated the divorce? When you thought he was the one who was sick?" Vanessa wept. "That's different. He's a man, and he earns more than I do. I was just an ordinary woman. I couldn't take care of him or afford his medical bills, so divorce seemed like the better choice." "Then why," the judge asked evenly, "do you think now that you're sick, he shouldn't divorce you?" "I've already said it," Vanessa replied. "He earns more, so he should take care of me. I'm dying. Even if I made a mistake, it's not a death sentence, is it? I'm just an ordinary girl, of course I panicked and made the wrong decision. I hope the court will give me a chance to make it right." The judge's expression barely shifted. "I'm also a woman," she said, "and I don't agree with you." In the end, the ruling came down. The house, purchased before the marriage, remained mine. Vanessa had no right to claim it. Our marital assets were deemed joint property, split evenly between us. But out of humanitarian consideration, the court ordered me to pay her $50,000. Losing $50,000 hurt, but it was far better than losing the house. Vanessa wept openly. "I don't accept this. I'll keep appealing." What can $50,000 do for me? I said evenly, funny, you're not the only one who's unhappy. I'm going to appeal too. Evelyn's voice shot up. You've already kept the house. Why would you still appeal? I shrugged. This was your idea, remember? I can keep appealing just like you planned to, dragging it out until Vanessa dies. By then, there won't be any $50,000 humanitarian award, just a token for burial expenses. Evelyn drew in a sharp breath, then exploded. How can you be so cruel? Cruel? I didn't think so. When I first learned Vanessa was sick, I'd been ready to give her everything I could. But once I realized she wasn't my partner, she was my enemy, why should I show mercy? The judge asked if I would be filing my appeal, and I simply smiled and shook my head. There was a deadline, and I could wait until the very last moment to submit it. My plan was simple: stall, exactly the way she and her mother had intended to stall me. In the end, Vanessa didn't survive to the next hearing. She'd never had much money, and the time, stress, and expense of the lawsuit made her illness spiral quickly. When I heard she'd died, I couldn't help but sigh. We had once loved each other with such intensity, and still, I had been blind. If there's one thing I'd tell anyone, it's this: treat yourself well. Don't pour your heart and resources into someone out of blind, self-congratulatory devotion. They may not be worth the trust you place in them. Some men, no matter how well their wives treat them, will still choose someone younger in the end. Some women, no matter how good their husbands are, will still betray them. I'm not preaching fear of marriage, only urging caution. When you give, keep a part of yourself protected. Always leave yourself a way out.